Travels by Broomstick comes to you from South Wales, the land of the dragon. Oh, and sheep. We got lots of sheep. Welcome to all you good people out there in podcast land. So, let's get the broomstick out the garage, and off we go. Today's journey takes us to a very special place. A place that is one of the most visited sites in Britain. A place that equals Stonehenge and Avebury for its magic and mystery. Today we visit the Rollright Stones. These are situated in Little Rollright, Chipping Norton, located in the Oxfordshire and Warwickshire borders of England.
There are many different folktales that are associated with the Rollright Stones, but my personal favourite is a rhyming version that was written by William Camden, an English antiquarian, historian, topographer and herald of arms in 1610. He tells that a king was riding across the country with his army when he was suddenly accosted by a local witch and a mystical prophetess called Mother Shipton. She looked at the king and said, "7 long strides thou shalt take," says she, "and if Long Compton thou canst see, King of England thou shalt be." The king's troops all gathered around in a circle to discuss the challenge set by the strange old witch. The knights all muttered amongst themselves, but the king was arrogant and shouted, "Stick, stock, stone, as King of England I shall be known." Then he boldly took 7 steps forward, but the rising ground blocked his view of Long Compton, which was situated in a valley. The witch let out a loud cackle and chanted, "As Long Compton thou canst not see, King of England thou shalt not be. Rise up, stick, and stand still, stone, for King of England thou shalt be none. Thou and thy men hoar stones shall be, and I myself an elder tree." And so the king became the solitary king's stone, while nearby his soldiers formed a stone circle called the King's Men. As the witch prepared to become the elder tree, she walked backwards into 4 of the king's knights. These knights had lagged behind and were whispering plots against the king. The witch turned them into stone as well, and these stand today as the stones called the Whispering Knights.
Legend has it that as the church clock strikes midnight, the king's stone comes alive, and he walks around the stone circle, tapping each stone to wake his men, and then these stones will also come to life.
Another folktale that was recorded by Sir Arthur Evans in 1895 is that the King's Stone and the Whispering Knight stones would walk down the hill at midnight to drink from the spring at Little Rollright Spinney.
In the 18th and 19th century, the Rollright Stones became associated with fertility, and young girls from the local village would run around the stones naked at midnight. This would take place on Midsummer's Eve, in the belief that they would see the man that they eventually would marry.
Childless wives were known to kneel in front of the King's Stone and pray to him for a child. Some would even rub their bare breasts on the King's Stone as part of a fertility ritual. Even today, people leave offerings at the stone circle and tie magical items on the surrounding trees. It is most certainly a place of power and has a fantastic energy to it.
These megalithic monuments span nearly 2,000 years of Neolithic and Bronze Age development, as each of the 3 sets of stones date from different periods. The oldest stones are the Whispering Knight's dolmen, which is early Neolithic, between 3,800 and 3,500 BC. The King's Men stone circle is late Neolithic and about 2,500 years BC, and the solitary King's Stone is Bronze Age, at about 1,500 BC. The stones used to construct the Rollright Stones were probably collected from within 500 metres of the site, and they are made from Jurassic Oolitic limestone. This is considerably softer stone than the Sarsen stones at Avebury or Stonehenge.
The Whispering Knight stones are an early Neolithic burial chamber that consists of 4 upright stones and a large fallen capstone. It is called a portal dolmen as the 3 stones look like a giant doorway. The large stone on the left of the portal is the largest of all the Rollright stones. The Whispering Knight stones are said to be one of the earliest funerary monuments in Britain, built around 3,800 BC. Early Neolithic, Beaker and early Bronze Age pottery found around the stones suggests that it was a tomb across many centuries. The burial chamber would have contained the bones of several different individuals. In fact, a piece of human bone that was discovered inside the chamber was radiocarbon dated to around 1700 BC. In the legend, these stones were once the Whispering Knights, who were plotting against the king, and the witch turned them into stone. The stones do indeed look like they are leaning towards each other, conspiring against the king.
The King's Men stones, or the ceremonial stone circle, was erected in the late Neolithic period, around 2500 BC. These are 77 stones that are placed in a ring which is around 103 feet or 31 metres in diameter. The number of stones in the circle has changed over the years. It is thought that originally there would have been around 105 standing stones, set tightly together. The stones are famously said to be uncountable, as it is said that if you stand in the centre of the stones and try and count each one, you will end up with a different number of stones every time.
It is said that anyone who thrice counts the same number of stones will have their heart's desire fulfilled. There is a story about a baker who swore that he could correctly count the number of stones in the stone circle. And to prove it, he baked a number of bread loaves and placed each one on top of each stone. But each time he tried to collect them up, some of the loaves were missing, spirited away by fairies. Fairies have been seen at the Rollright Stones in the late 19th century and were described by the man who saw them, Will Hughes from Long Compton Village, as little folk like girls to look at. The fairies were said to have come out of their home and danced around at night. Their home was a tiny hole near the base of the King's Stone, and if a stone was placed to block this hole, it would be found to have been moved the very next day. Fairies can also be seen dancing near the Whispering Knights, but only by those who are pure of heart and that lead a pure life.
The stones in the circle vary in size and shape. The tallest stone is the focal point. Directly opposite is the narrow entry portal, or gateway, to the stone circle marked by an opening of two smaller stones. One is a straight pillar shape and the other is more rounded. Some believe that they are representative of the male and the female form.
The northern portal stones are aligned with the major southern moonrise, which occurs around midsummer, with the moonlight directly focusing on the large stone in the northwest, which gives off an incredible energy. But these stones are magical and mysterious at any time of the day and at any point of the year. It is probably one of the most well-known and most regularly visited stone circles in England, and it is unusual as it stands isolated from any other groups of similar monuments, being the only circle in this part of the country.
Antiquarian William Stuckley, who visited and sketched the Rollright Stones in the mid-18th century, was so struck by their heavily weathered and eroded limestone that he described them as being corroded like worm-eaten wood by the harsh jaws of time. Stuckley referred to the site as Rollridge, which came from Rolandry, the name as it was recorded in the 11th century Domesday Book, as the name of a nearby little or great Rollright villages. The name Rollright derives from the land of Hrolla.
The King's Stone is one single solitary standing stone that is located across the road from the other stones. Erected around 1500 BC as a permanent memorial to the burial ground, rather than an outlier to the much older King's Men Stone Circle. The peculiar shape of the King's Stone is not due to weathering or erosion from old age, but due to souvenir hunters. People would just break bits off the stone to take home with them. And, as legend tells, cattle drivers who would chip off small pieces of the King's Stone to act as good luck talisman to keep the devil at bay.
This vandalism of the stones is the reason why they are legally protected. The Rollright Stones were among the first monuments to be put into the guardianship of the state, and why legal protection for ancient remains was introduced in 1882. The railings that are around the King's Stone was erected in 1894, and this was to prevent further damage. The King's Men Stone Circle also had railings around, but these have been taken down. The site is freely open to visit, with an honesty box to receive a £1 entrance fee. This money goes to the Rollright Trust, this being the charity that protects and conserves them and their surrounding environment.
Not just folklore, the witch element of the Rollright Stones was popularised by the fact that the village of Long Compton and its surrounding area had a reputation for witchcraft in the 19th century. On Saturday, September 25th, 1875, an old woman aged 80 years old from Long Compton named Anne Tennant was coming back from the bakery with a loaf of bread when she was brutally stabbed to death with a pitchfork by an agricultural labourer who was harvesting the local fields named James Hayward. James Hayward believed that Anne Tennant was a witch. He believed that she was head of a local witches' coven who had bewitched him with a curse. As he was arrested by the police, he exclaimed, "I hope that she is dead. She was an old witch, and there are 15 more in the village, and I mean to kill them all." James Hayward was found not guilty by reason of insanity, and he was taken to the Broadmoor Asylum for the criminally insane. But his belief in witches was not insane, and many of the local villagers shared the same belief. In 1945, another murder took place in the area near to the Rollright Stones. Charles Walton, a 74-year-old hedge cutter, was found on Wednesday, the 14th of February, face down beneath the willow tree. He had been murdered with his own pitchfork, which had been forcefully driven through his throat, nearly severing his head. The fork was embedded into the ground nearly 6 inches deep. A cross symbol had been carved onto his chest using a billhook. His face had the look of total terror on it, as his lifeless body lay in a pool of his own blood. Charles Walton was said to have been a witch. He was known to be a clairvoyant, and he would always carry a black scrying mirror with him. And he was said to have the power over certain animals. It was said that when he was younger, he met a black dog on his way home from the ploughing fields on 9 consecutive nights. On the last night, he encountered a headless lady as well as the dog, and on the next day, his sister died. He took this as a bad omen, and it frightened him so much that he developed a deep-rooted fear of dogs. According to some superstitious neighbours, this paranormal encounter stained Charles Walton's soul, imbuing him with the dark powers of witchcraft. They said that he would leave the house in the middle of the night and perform strange magical rituals at the Rollright Stones. A popular theory is that Charles Walton's murder was due to him being a witch. The method used to kill him followed the ritualistic style known as stuxing, or sticking. It was believed that this was the only way to prevent the dead witch from rising from the grave. Sticking is also a method where the bodies of the accused witches would be pierced with iron spikes, thorns or pins, and if these wounds turned black, then it was considered proof that the person was indeed a witch and used black magic. It was also believed that a witch's power could be drained through bloodletting. Draining of the witch's blood could neutralize the witch's power after death. Sadly, this murder would go unsolved to this very day. The inquest on Charles Walton gave the cause of death as murder by person or persons unknown, and he was buried in the churchyard at Lower Quinton. But whether it is witches, fairies, or mystical energies from an ancient burial ground, the Rollright Stones are indeed a magical and unique place. They are said to be based on a powerful energetic ley line, and the area has strong earth energies. The mystery of why the stones were placed there and the significance to its origins remains unknown. But because of this, for me, it makes the site far more intriguing, and it's a sacred site that needs to be cared for. So there's only one question to ask, and that's how many brooms do you rate the Rollright Stones?
Well, because I'm interested in Neolithic history, I'm going to give it 4 brooms.
And how did you feel when you visited the stones?
Well, it's certainly a place of magic and mystery. It has an air about it. The area as a whole has a very good energy about it. And when we were there were guys actually divining the energy, which as far as I could tell, ran in circles around and up the stones.
So do you think that the site has magical powers that can be harnessed by witches?
Oh, without a doubt, yeah. Also, the site holds a number of events through the year, particularly at the summer and the winter solstice.
So what do you think happened to the witch in the legend?
Well, in the story, she became an elder tree that was part of the hedgerow surrounding the circle, and it's said that if ever she's cut down, the spell will be broken and the stones will come to life again.
So you think that she's there as the elder tree protecting the stones?
Absolutely.
That sounds good, I like that. Do you think a lot of people have got inspiration from these magical stones?
Well, the Rollright Stones are said to be the inspiration for the Barrow Downs in Lord of the Rings. These books by J.R.R. Tolkien. The Barrow Downs is the place where the hobbits meet the evil Barrow Waite, and this makes sense as the stones are supposedly the king and the king's men. Tolkien was a professor at Oxford University, so he must have been inspired by the magical and the beautiful surroundings.
And lastly, what do you think the origin of the stone circle really is, in your opinion?
Well, it's a megalithic, Neolithic monument. Probably some sort of ritual or spiritual centre.
Yeah, I could agree with that. I like that.
Well, thank you for joining us on our journey this week. We hope you've had a magical time. And we look forward to seeing you next time. Please like and subscribe and turn on episode notifications.